It's Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce and Michael. I know a ghost story or two. Let's do this.
You missed your cue the first time around.
I know. Fuck it, here I am.
Second time into this episode. By the way, guys, we have a ancient soul sitting here on the couch. This dog knows when
Too much.
It knows when you're talking to it. It knows when you're signaling to it. He knows all. And we're not talking about Nova. You're going to find out who we're talking about soon.
That's
also,
right.
Nova is the best boy ever. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we talk to amazing guests about their personal paranormal history and share stories of high strangeness. I'm your host, Michael McMillan. With me always is your other host,
Bryce Johnson.
and our super producer,
Riley Bray.
and today's guest, we're going to get right to it. He's an actor, he's a musician, and a voiceover talent. You may know him from Ben 10, Teen Titans, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where he was my favorite voice of my second favorite turtle, Michelangelo. He's appeared in a million things, and we're so excited he's adding us to his long list of credits. Boys and girls, please give a warm Club Scout salute to Mr. Gregory Cipes.
Yeah.
And
Thanks
who
for
is
having me, guys.
We're so thrilled you're
Yes,
here, dude.
and most importantly, introducing my son, my guru, the highest form of life on the planet, Wingman G. Cipes.
Oh, dude.
I take shelter under his lotus feet, and he purifies me.
It's amazing.
Listeners of the show know that I love Durgies, and this guy is the chillest. I'm taking a picture of him right now. We'll put it up on the Instagram.
He
for the
has
show.
books where he teaches children of all ages meditation and yoga and how to eat healthy
He's
and let dogs lead the
doing
way.
well.
He's like knee deep into TM right now.
He is. He's a master, true master. He makes thousands and thousands of people happy every weekend as we travel across the U.S. on tour.
This
love
is
that.
David Lynch's official favorite dog.
Yeah.
I love
He
it.
will be.
Does he go everywhere with you?
Everywhere. We're never apart. The only time we're apart is if I'm on a surfboard or I'm in a sauna.
Oh, I read about this. You're an expert surfer, correct?
I mean,
I'm saying expert. I don't know. Anyone who surfs
I love surfing.
is an expert surfer to me
At
because
one
I don't.
At one point, I was third in the U.S. back in the day.
Wow.
Junior pro surfer.
That seems pretty expert.
It was cool. It was fun. I really enjoyed competing, but then I was like, I want to surf the rest of my life just because I love it, and I got into the Hollywood business more, and figured I'll surf with the money I make from Hollywood.
Hell yeah.
It's worked out.
I love it,
Well
dude.
done,
You've
sir.
been coasting on them tasty waves for a
Yeah,
while,
dude,
I guess.
that's right.
It's pretty good. I didn't mean to knock Michelangelo. He is, I think I'm a Raphael boy, but Michelangelo, obviously, because my name's Michelangelo. But I do think your interpretation of Mikey might be my all-time favorite turtle of all canons. So
Well, thank you.
I'm a huge fan.
The Ninja Turtles were really important to me growing up. It was my favorite cartoon. Got me into martial arts and yoga and meditation and surfing and skating.
I was going to say, that's a very
Wow.
turtle skill to
Yeah.
be a surfer.
Well, yeah, and there was many episodes with the turtle surfing in the sewer, and I was like, I want to do that. And then, meditation. The first time I ever meditated was when Splinter was teaching the turtles how to meditate, and I tried it in my living room when I was, 9 years old.
You're kidding.
No. And then fast forward, now I get to bring it to this next generation, and it's actually when our show came out in 2012. We sold one toy every second.
Wow.
For like 3 years or something, or every minute.
I took care
they
of it.
made billions. It saved Viacom. The Turtle brand is actually worth more than Nickelodeon
I
Wow.
took care of at
because
least
of our show.
20 to 30 of those seconds, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But more than anything, it was so cool to bring them to life because Nickelodeon was like, all right, we don't want anything that's ever been done before. Go. And for me, it just Mikey was such a big part of who I was that it just kind of it's who I am. So
Oh, man.
Mikey
Came totally
just basically is a version of myself as a turtle.
He's the best.
so
and I
thanks,
love,
man.
I mean, I'm going to geek out.
Booyakasha!
Yeah.
I got to make that up too.
I also love that he had the, like all the turtles had different lengths of bow ties.
Yeah.
And he had the cutest tie in the back of his head. And it was kind of an homage to the original. People who know the show know what I'm talking about.
That's deep, dude.
Yeah, dude. That's the kind of stuff that this version of Turtles got all the details.
All right.
That's because Ciro
Right.
Nieli, the creator of the
Dude.
show, master artist, director,
Brilliant.
genius. In my opinion, he is definitely he's that like next Italian famous like artist. Like there's Michelangelo, Leonardo,
Yeah,
they're all like the
yeah.
turtles' names, but then there is Ciro Nieli who.
He'll be the
he directed
fifth turtle.
Yeah, I mean he's a master, and he really blessed that show up, and everything he touches is so next level. Ciro Nieli. Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, dude, you're so talented. We're so happy to have you
Thank
here.
you.
And
No
it turns
doubt
out that
about.
you have some history with Mr. Bryce Johnson.
Man, we go way back.
Yeah,
He's one
man,
of the
like
first dudes
20
I ever
years.
met.
It's so
like,
true.
Within the first week of moving to
Is that
LA.
right? That's
I
crazy.
swear.
Yeah, that's wild. That was like 20 years ago. We were all rolling around the same circle, and God, those were good times, man.
Yeah.
I still look back, and that was like a young time when everybody's just like they had like a fuck it free attitude.
The weed
you
was
know?
much different back then.
It was totally different. It was.
How so?
It was so much stonier.
Oh my
Oh.
God.
Then now?
Yeah, it's chemicaled up now.
Oh yeah, you're right. You mean now? Because now, if I try, I just have an instant panic attack and I fall asleep.
That's what I mean. It wasn't like that back in the day. It was like, it was medical. Of course, we were doing it
Yeah.
for medical purposes. We
Totally.
all
Absolutely.
arthritis and glaucoma, and it helped all that stuff.
God.
But it made us feel really good.
Yeah.
Like it was really good times, and we were doing a lot of medically, licensed bong hits.
Yes.
I know when
Oh
people
my
say
God.
like it's for anxiety, I don't get it because the stuff I've gotten, I'm like, no, this is
That's,
like
Juices
that's the
anxiety.
recent
This is a
stuff, though, man.
fucking-
It's a bummer.
it is.
Yeah, man.
Very much a bummer.
Yeah,
It's,
but
I feel
there's
like my
others- there's
skeleton's
other-
ripped out of my flesh when I smoke it now.
Wow.
There's better things to do now.
It's true.
Like yoga. You can get naturally high.
Yep.
Meditation, naturally high. Hang out with your dog, naturally high.
My
Yes.
wife's got me doing all three of those things.
Yeah.
Yoga,
Interesting.
meditation, hanging out with a new
Okay.
dog.
Yeah.
We need to talk about this, but before we do, Bryce,
Yeah.
I believe you brought in a little bit of
Oh, yeah, well.
BCC news.
Yeah, so this really isn't pulled from any exact article, but I've been sniffing around, man. This whole
I like that image. Just you on the
yeah,
internet.
I've been doing some investigating.
I've been perving out
been-
on some Bigfoot tips.
I've been
You are the Bigfoot guy here.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, every state, you're the Bigfoot guy. There's
every state except Hawaii. There's been a Bigfoot reporting. So I've been so Skinwalker Ranch, right? A few of their
Yeah.
old security personnel has been coming forward on a couple of UFO radio programs.
Right. This was an Alexander Henriksen's episode. We talked briefly
I've
about
been starting
this.
to talk about it, but the whole idea of what Skinwalker is and what Bigelow was doing on that ranch is starting to get turned on his head.
Okay, well, what's the update?
Well, a lot of the security personnel are starting to come saying, I think that we were guinea pigs and that they were possibly testing some of these cutting edge prototype weapons technology on us, and that we were guinea pigs for the paranormal that was taking place on the property.
Time out.
Yeah.
So the paranormal activity was actually futuristic weapons?
No, it's still the Winter Basin is still a UFO hotspot and a place known notoriously for the paranormal happenings that take place around it. But what those security people were detailed to do on the property is now up for reevaluation, because they're starting to think that, as part of that weapons program, ASWAP, which is Advanced Aerospace Weapons Association program.
What is that?
Okay, so that's the original A-tip, right? That big New York Times article that came
Yes.
out about the UFOs and how this $20 million was allocated to UFO research. Well, we now know that all that money went to Robert Bigelow.
A lot of it did.
all of it.
All
went
of
to
it?
Robert Bigelow, and where
Would Tom DeLonge say all of it
it's
went
pretty
there?
much all of it, man. And it all went to
Enough of it.
Our
Yeah.
guest already looking clueless.
No.
No, I'm not. I have just
Okay.
I have such a perspective on all this. I've
Great.
done a tremendous amount of research.
Okay, good.
Oh,
we
great. I
want
wanna
you to
tap
chime in
into
here in a
you.
second.
Yeah. So anyway, ATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program,
Yes.
which was formerly ASWAP, which is has the word weapons in it, so that they were testing weapons. And some of these security personnel are saying, hey, I was the only dude on the property. There wasn't like a security team, and they were telling some of the scientists, don't show up on the property during this time or that time because you may not come back. In other words, like, God, I get so excited and so ahead of myself, but
I know.
basically,
Come back to the first act.
but listen, a couple of these security personnel are starting to come out and say, we think we were guinea pigs, and they were possibly testing some sort of beam system out on us, and that we were basically a test subject for the paranormal, and that they were possibly testing weapons for or against the paranormal on us to see how we responded.
Okay, I'm going to put this into Jurassic Park terms.
Okay, thank you.
Let's pretend that in Skinwalker Ranch is Jurassic Park.
Okay.
And that the security guard has been put out there, and they think they're there to see if they can find dinosaurs.
Well,
what they're
right.
learning is they're actually there, not only are they there as bait for the dinosaurs,
Right.
but they might also be there for like Richard or John Hammond to like test out weapons against them and the dinosaurs.
Great, you nailed it. Absolutely.
To what end?
To what end? I mean, who knows, right? So the military has had a history of testing, new cutting edge technology on military personnel and veterans and stuff like this.
Sure.
And law enforcement individuals.
MK Ultra,
Yeah,
about that
absolutely.
program, right?
So, listen, a lot of them are just starting to go over their notes on the ranch property and looking at it in a whole new light. All the things that they experienced.
Guys,
and,
isn't it weird that we went through all of that at Skinwalker Ranch together, and now we meet at this Starbucks outside Salt Lake City and have to compare these notes?
It's crazy because, I mean, I read that book maybe like 10, 15 years ago, and it stunned me. And now it's like...
George Knapp's book.
George Knapp, Colm Kelleher, The Hunt for the Skinwalker. And now it's just sort of bubbling back up on the surface here. And it's, in the media and stuff like that, and on all these like sort of... paranormal discussion groups, and the subject keeps changing, and it keeps evolving, and the story keeps revealing new things. But I'd love to get your take on this, Greg. You said that you've been kind of like up to date on this stuff.
I mean, not specifically the Skinwalker Ranch stuff, but it's all fabricated. It's all the government is hiding everything from us because they use it to control us in the different ways they want to do that. Basically, like NASA is a movie studio.
Oh, so you're into the whole dark NASA stuff.
Well, I mean, it's not into it. It's what it is. It's like right in front of your face. I mean,
all right.
If you've watched any NASA, funded movies recently, I mean, there's a bunch of them. It's all propaganda
Which
for
is
NASA.
the latest?
I mean, what's the one with Matt Damon where he goes to
The Martian?
It's a NASA propaganda movie, and every other one where you see NASA on stuff, it's the programming of like, we only have 2 days to tell you the truth about everything because we're funded by the people. I mean, it's all BS, and including the moon landing itself.
So
the moon landing.
You don't think the moon landing happened?
No, dude. It's literally that's what Area 51 is.
Okay,
is a movie set for where the landing happened.
Got it.
And there's no aliens there. It's the most expensive, controversial movie set.
Interesting.
In the freaking world, and they're not gonna. And they're instead of tearing it down, they've preserved it because it's like there's sick people essentially. Like they've fooled. It was an arms race. Whoever controls the moon has the power to drop bombs in the different places on Earth.
And isn't it strange how that all played out?
And it's still playing out. India, how many years ago did we land on the moon?
In 69, more than 50. We just celebrated the 50th anniversary.
Years ago. Supposedly, which we did not, because it was filmed at Area 51, and they show how...
I mean, that's what Fargo Season 3 says.
So India, 50 years later, imagine all the technology, 50 years of technology.
Right.
India still couldn't land on the moon.
Right.
We didn't land on the moon. We shot a movie, And actually, if you look at it, if you speed up the actual, have you seen this where they speed up the footage to like regular normal film speed? It's literally all they did was slow the footage down. You know, where I've heard like the cars like spinning out moon dust. You know, the little
the moon
car.
buggies. Yeah,
if they just put it in regular time, it's literally them just cruising the whatever Area 51's little desert area.
Right.
It's exactly.
I've heard
it's a sham.
I've heard this conspiracy theory for years, and to be honest, I haven't dug that too deeply into it. I remember there's the
dude.
Who's the guy who used to come on Coast to Coast all the time who was like very anti NASA, and he was the one that had like there's the robot face on Mars. So do you believe
Jim Mars? Is that
no? It wasn't Jim Mars. Jim Mars is alien. Richard Hoagland.
Yeah.
So do you think that have we ever been to the moon?
No. There's more like science to it than I can like language, but essentially there's a point of getting away from Earth where we can't do it yet. Like,
okay,
we're not even able to like the pressure. Like
did we go through pass through the cosmic rays to transform us into the Fantastic Four? Because that's something that I would be
wherever the space station is that's as far as we can go right now.
Got it.
What about the Voyager probe?
I don't know about
Voyager 1 and 2. They're in interstellar space.
All I know
now
is they bombed the moon not too long ago with a nuclear bomb. Do y'all remember that?
No.
Yeah, this is maybe in the last 10 years. It was public information. They said we're bombing the moon to look for ice.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we're bombing the moon with a nuclear bomb to look for ice.
That I will look into.
They bombed the dark side of the moon with a nuclear bomb. And what was there? I mean, they weren't looking for ice. I mean, who knows?
Project A119, also known as a study of lunar research flights, was a top secret plan developed in 1958 by the United States Air Force. The aim of the project was to detonate a nuclear bomb on the moon, which would help in answering some of the mysteries in planetary astronomy.
Yeah.
This is all on Wikipedia. We'll take a look.
I don't know about all that.
I've never heard of this. This is crazy.
No, but
what's the best way to get science out of anything? Nuke it.
Fucking nuke it.
Fucking nuke it.
It says the project was never carried out, but the existence of the project was revealed in 2000.
What was carried out
is
Project Starfish. That's where they set off a series of nuclear explosions.
Is that when they
within the atmosphere.
sent Voyager 1 and 2 into your butthole?
That's right.
Damn.
No, that's a different project
Deep space,
altogether.
baby.
Where are you on the flat Earth thing? Are you?
Wait, hold on.
you're not-
Time out. Wait, we can't just move on.
No, you can't. That's the stupidest shit ever.
No, yes,
cool.
thanks.
Agreed.
We
all
just did
agree
a
there.
Teen Titans Go episode about it.
Oh my God,
which is
that's
great.
amazing.
That's really
But wait,
good.
I actually have a question for you, Gregory. So, have you heard of the Richard Hoagland theories that on the moon are actually relics of ancient civilizations, like glass castles,
they fucking blew
robots?
it up. I'm sure they just blew it up because we're getting close to actually getting there, and they destroy stuff that is going to wake up humanity.
Got it. There's also a theory that the moon is artificial. No, artificial, like man-made.
Yeah, right.
Which I have not dug into
dude.
either.
Yeah, that's not true.
No.
All right.
Well, before we move on, I got to say, although I totally respect your view on this, I 100% believe we went to the moon. And I think it's
Why?
Because there's so much evidence and there's so many people that worked on it, like brilliant scientists.
Dude, they killed a bunch of them.
There's a bunch of them that are still alive.
No, but
though.
the ones like, okay, so for instance, there's photos that were taken on the trip, right?
Yeah.
Like on the moon.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know how there's crosshairs
Sure.
on the photos?
Right.
Yeah.
They literally show how some of the crosshairs, the dude who was doing the graphic designing of these photos, there's a crosshair behind. That's just one of the things. Literally, the crosshairs disappear behind the person because
the special effects are all screwed up.
Yeah, they didn't doctor the photos. They lazily.
It's so
that's
funny that you
that's
bring this
interesting.
up because I was actually thinking about this today. And again, I think we should devote we'll move on soon, but I think we should devote an episode to the
legitimacy of the moon landings.
Yeah, just for fun. But it was funny because I was thinking about this today, and I was like, I kind of had also it's really funny that you're bringing this up because I was also like, I could also see a reality where they did land on the moon, but they needed a backup plan in case they couldn't film shit the way that they wanted to. So it's a little bit of how we think of like reality TV today.
Well, a lot of one and a little bit of
you know what I mean?
other.
Where it's like reality TV is like, okay, this happens, but we also need to make sure we get coverage in case we don't get the shots that we want.
Absolutely.
So maybe it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B.
These are high level, government agents that are trained to go up into these spaceships. They're handpicked people with very extensive, non-disclosure agreements. We'll kill your family. We'll kill you. You're doing this for us, and you're into it. And the ones that started to like question things, they fucking burned them alive in the capsule on the
Gregory,
tarmac.
this is an intense episode of Bigfoot Collectors Club.
They did. There's people literally. They show it. They're training the 4 dudes or wherever they were.
I've got to put,
I forget the guy's name.
put in my 2 cents, especially here on Veterans Day. I think it's a disservice.
Don't date the episode, Bryce. This is an evergreen episode.
It's a disservice to the 12 men who went up on the Saturn rockets and walked the face of the moon. I'm a believer in the moon landings and
India would have done it.
All of
India
the incredible scientists, men and women that worked on that program.
Dude, they can't get to the moon. What part of Gregory's story do you not understand?
Listen, I'm not bothered talking about it.
No, I'm not either. I have my crazy conspiracy theories too.
Yeah, well, this one's not crazy. This just shows
Bryce.
you
we're
in the situation with our government right now where they're doing the same thing. It's programming. They're programming us to think a certain way, so we act a certain way, and that's what they did with the moon landing as well.
Got it.
It's a false sense of security. It's a false. It's
I can see the point of view of your story for sure, and I think it's fascinating. I tend to agree with the guys in the room that I think we went to the moon, but
how do you explain the crosshairs?
I think there's I don't know. I
how
gotta
do you
look.
explain the lighting?
Like I said, I will commit.
How do you explain when they fast forward the I don't know. When they put the video in real time, and then it's literally just them cruising around the Arizona desert, walking normal, on their go-kart, spinning out dirt. I mean, it's literally.
I'll say this.
It does look strange.
I know for a fact that at least 2 men in astronaut suits had a great time in a dune buggy.
Yeah.
All right.
And they show aerial pictures of the site, Area 51 area, and the pictures of the moon landing. It's the exact same.
I'm going to look into all this. We're going to devote
There's a great documentary
on
YouTube. I don't know which one it was.
You find it to me. You send it. I will watch it. We have to move on. I got to ask you. No, we don't. We do. Actually, I think we did because just for time. But Gregory, what is your personal paranormal history? Have you ever had any encounters that you cannot explain?
Oh my gosh, dude. I have the story, and I'm probably not supposed to talk about it, but I've told enough people, and I'm still alive, so.
Oh, wow.
All right.
I'm
That's
intrigued.
All right, so I'm in Hawaii at Lisa Marie Presley's mansion. Her son is my best friend, one of my best friends and bandmates. I played his 14th birthday. Ben Keogh, who's basically in my opinion, he's literally reincarnation of Elvis. He literally is him.
Are you an Elvis fan?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Me too. I'm a huge Elvis fan.
Yeah. So they brought me into their family, and I'm in Hawaii at their crazy, beautiful house on the Big Island when they had it. And there's a private black sand beach, and me and Ben, I just arrived there, and we went down to the beach, and it was probably like 12 or 1, and we were just, going down there to just check it out and look at the stars. I mean, there's so many stars there. The sky's white on the Big Island at night, especially in a secluded kind of like beach area. And so anyways, we go down to the black sand beach, and we're sitting there, and all of a sudden in the sky, there's like a light that goes, just kind of like, basically a spaceship shows up, and we're like, whoa, do you see that thing? Because the movement, it was like across the sky, it went whoop, right there. Right?
And then stopped?
Yeah. And then stopped. You're like, whoa, what the hell is that, right? And it did a couple little other movements, and then all of a sudden, me and Ben Keogh were brought up into Elvis's gold spaceship.
What?
Dude, this is...
I swear on my life, we were brought to our knees. We were brought up in the spaceship, and Elvis in his gold ship comes out in like an all gold outfit, and he's like, "Hey boys."
This is
I swear to God, I swear on my
110%.
Yeah,
Riley, we are rolling, right?
Oh yeah.
So all of a sudden, we shot back down to the beach, and we're like, "Oh my god!" We're like, tears coming down our eyes. We're in complete awe, and a light. Because we were brought down, we were like, why? My second thought was, why couldn't we stay longer? But a light shot up from the land up at the spaceship, like a spotlight.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then another one, and then the thing went, shoo! Whoa. It moved a couple times and shot out in space with almost like a trail, like a comet.
Right.
And we're like, holy shit, that was.
A lot.
And nonetheless.
Oh, go ahead.
No, do not interrupt the story.
Sorry, I know. God, curse.
So all of a sudden, one of those spotlights comes down on us from across the ocean, and we're like, "That's not like pointing at us." And all of a sudden, it starts getting closer and closer, and you hear like a boat, or some kind of craft with this light coming at us, and we're like in pitch black, black sand beach area. We're like, "What the?" So we start hauling ass through the jungle because that thing's coming at us. It shot a light on us. We run and get in the golf cart. We turn the lights off on the golf cart. We're like, oh my god, we got to get back to the house,
I love that you're escaping a speedboat on a golf cart.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, we're now in this private
yes.
area on the Big Island, this community, whatever. No, we're in a helicopter's flying overhead now above us, looking for us.
Yes.
And we get to his house and we run upstairs and we're like, holy shit. He's like, dude, I gotta call my dad. He goes to call his dad and the phone is scrambled.
What?
He goes, dad. And his dad's like, gone. And then the phone wouldn't work. And we're like, holy fuck, dude, they're gonna come after us. He's like, dude, if they come up here, or you didn't see anything, we didn't nothing. And at the time we had a movie playing, and we turned the movie up really loud.
Do you remember which movie it was?
Countryman is one of the best movies from Jamaica. It's like a reggae movie.
Awesome.
Cool.
Countryman, it's amazing. Nonetheless, we then go into the bathroom, turn on the shower so we could talk in there so they can't hear us. Shower's going. He's like, fuck, I can't get my dad. And then we go on the roof because
where else can
My
you go?
mouth
at this
my
point-
jaw's on the floor.
At this point, there's literally unmarked black cars driving by the front of the house too.
Really?
Swear.
So there's a presence.
Yeah, and we're like, fucked. We just saw that. We just got brought up into Elvis's gold spaceship. And
Was
there's
it gold on the inside or gold on the outside?
Both. I mean, in the inside, we were brought in the inside.
Dude. I mean, a lot of people don't realize how spiritual Elvis was.
I got the chills right now, but he looked good and he was healthy and it was like the 40s.
So what happened?
Nonetheless,
we're gonna get back to the UFO. Don't worry.
We get on the roof.
My pulse is racing.
We get on the roof and you hear rah. This is on the Big Island. There's no sound like that. It's just rah.
Do they have giants?
No, they're. I don't know what they were shooting out, like scrambled
Some sort of
waves.
sound beam or something.
Are you still seeing helicopters at this point? Or
At this point, we were just on the roof because I didn't want to be shot or tased or whatever they're going to do to erase our memory or whatever the hell. I don't know. So we're on the roof now, freaking out, and there's this sound, this ominous, crazy sound that had to be the scrambler for the phones and everything. And I don't know if you know this, but the Big Island is one of the biggest military bases in the whole world.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And so we come back in the house and we're freaking out. Countryman's playing, and all of a sudden you hear the door open up downstairs. It's now 3 a.m. Lisa Marie Presley's sleeping across the hall with her.
Did she sleep through this whole thing?
She did. Yeah, she's across the hall sleeping, and all of a sudden you hear the door opens downstairs. I went white. I was like, that's it. We're done.
Over.
Yeah, game over.
So what are you thinking in this moment? Like men with guns are coming in?
Yeah, at that point I was like, I was done. Like I was completely like deflated. I was like, I don't know.
The military cannot take out Lisa Marie Presley's family and friends.
In that moment, I was done, and it was actually the private security guard coming to check on the house at the end.
Oh, what did they say?
I mean, basically, we didn't say anything until we didn't bring it up because I didn't know if we should talk about it. But I brought it up the next day with Roseanne Barr. I was at her house.
Wow.
Gregory, get out of this club.
No, stay right where you're
Stay
seated.
forever.
Yeah, and she lives on the
Stay
Big Island
forever.
too, on a macadamia farm. And I was at her house the next day, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that happens all the time out here."
All the time. No, she was just referring to lights in the sky, not
Yeah, I mean,
particularly like Elvis's spaceship.
No, but just like alien activity and ships landing in the,
Hawaii is a hotspot.
It is.
for
It
sure.
really is.
Yeah.
It really is, and
Did
it
you
all
guys-
happened. And we
Did
were
you guys
told not
both
to
have
talk
that
about it.
conversation where you're like, where you're comparing,
Yeah,
what
me
you
and-
experienced?
Yeah, me and Ben, we experienced the same thing.
Okay, let's talk about this craft.
Whoa.
So you're out on the beach,
Yeah.
you see it. Was there any, leading up to that moment, was there any strange phenomenon that you recall? Was there anything in the air that night? Any
It was
weird
beautiful.
stuff? Just a beautiful
It was
night.
beautiful. We weren't high. We weren't drinking. Nothing. It was just I just arrived and we were going to get some fresh air. It was like at that point, 12:30 at night.
Yeah, you're in Hawaii. You want to
Yeah,
go to
it's
the beach and look at the
beautiful. It was
stars.
just beautiful.
Had you
there's
ever experienced anything like this before?
No, you can't. I mean,
Right.
I haven't. And
So let's talk about the craft itself. Can you describe what the outside was? It like a nuts
Eric
and
Edelstein
bolts?
is going to fucking
I know, dude.
flip out.
I just ran into him
No.
at Target the other day too. Was it like a nuts and bolts craft? Or was it a glowy thing? And then what did it look like
Well,
on the inside, and etc.?
from far away, I couldn't tell. It just looked almost, like a star. Like it was a very bright, spaceship far away.
Right.
Like when we were sitting on the beach looking at it at first. But then
Flying
when we were-
saucer shaped,
yeah,
diamond
but
shaped.
far enough
what?
away where you couldn't see the shape. You just
Okay.
saw the this glowing.
Okay.
Glowing. I guess it was gold. It was
Right.
glowing gold light. Like
Now,
spaceship. It was,
when-
and then we were immediately transported into the spaceship.
This moment of
Mm-hmm.
being transported, could you feel yourself being carried to the ship, or was it like
It was
a blink
instant.
of an eye?
It was
you're
a
there?
blink of an eye.
Okay.
It was just bam.
Then
It was
describe.
like it was just like that, like a little jolt, like electric jolt, basically. Like,
now-
and you're there, and we were there. And
Did you have your did you have your wits about you when you were on the ship, or
it was kind of like we were how we were on the beach and then up on the ship.
Okay.
So it was like boom, and we were like in the same position we were.
I know
but on
I'm-
the ship, and Elvis enters. And
Okay, can you describe what the ship interior looks like before Elvis? Because it's so
Yeah.
rare we get these accounts. What did the ship interior look like before Elvis appeared?
I mean, it was everything was gold.
Was there couches?
It was
benches.
It was so quick, but
Okay.
it was gold. Everything was gold. Like the floor was gold, the walls were gold. It definitely was.
it was like a room?
It was like circular.
Yep.
Kind of room. And then he walks out with like a gold space suit, like
What was- he was wearing-
jumpsuit. He was wearing like a dope gold jumpsuit.
That's fucking
Helmet?
insane, dude.
No, he just looked good. He was-
Guitar.
no,
Gold guitar.
no. His shirt was kind of open. I remember that.
I imagine
Okay.
gold chains,
You know,
couple gold rings.
No, I didn't get. No,
Is this
but
like Elvis
you can
comeback
imagine
special?
though. He goes, "Hey," he's like, "Hey, boys," and then all of a sudden, boom, we're fucking back.
So that's it.
And that's when the military shot their lights up at the spaceship, and he had to take off because they'll shoot his ass down or whatever. They were.
Did he have a message for you?
Yeah,
or
that
like,
was
It
my
was
next
just, "Hey,
question.
boy." It was, "Hey, boys."
You were interrupted.
he just said
We were
hey-
interrupted.
He just said, "Hey,
He-
boys,
He goes, "Hey, boys," and then we were shot back down because
that was
he had
it.
to split. He didn't have time.
Oh,
y'all are doing all right."
so
Yeah.
no psychic message or anything like that. Nothing that was imparted
Well,
to
like
you
in
or
true
something
romance,
afterwards.
I like you, Greg. Always have, always will.
Yeah, that's pretty
Dude.
good.
I mean,
I mean, no message other than that everything is possible and things like that do
yes.
happen. And
Sure
I
they
was
do.
lucky enough to meet Elvis and not just through his grandson who is Elvis. Truly,
I have a
but
question.
it's
Do you-
meeting him.
That
Do you
is the
think? Do you think
coolest
that
story
your
yet.
consciousness was being manipulated to be filtered to see Elvis, or do you think that was Elvis?
I'm pretty sure it was 100% him.
That's
I mean,
wild.
I even felt the elevation of being way up there when we were brought up there. Like we were really way the fuck up.
You know, our
there.
friend
It
of the
was way-
show, who's also
It's like high
huge.
plane.
Yeah.
plane
How
height.
so? Like your ears were popping, or
I just felt I just felt up there. Yeah.
Wow.
Friend of the show, who's also a huge Elvis fan. His name is Eric Edelstein. He has a theory that Elvis was an angel put here on Earth. You know, and I mean, now we're talking about like ascended lights in the skies, angelic beings, and it's like, you know, I don't think I don't think this story is crazy. I mean, it's the fucking craziest story I've ever heard of. But at the same time, I think that's so fucking amazing.
It was
man.
amazing. I feel really lucky to have had that experience. And I wasn't supposed to talk about it, but I just couldn't not talk about it. So
I've told absolutely supposed to
now
talk
it's
about it.
definitely recorded.
What
Wow.
you said your friend you think is Elvis come again as
He
well?
is. He really is, but he doesn't want to do the same thing here.
Right.
And I know he wouldn't mind me saying this, but he is as talented and as beautiful and as, he can do whatever he wants. And
So-
right now he's like, he's a master musician as well. And
Ooh.
How
I'd
can
like
he
to-
exist? How do you think he can exist in corporal form and in a golden UFO at the same time, if they're the same entity?
oh, well, when I say Ben is him again, I just mean it's definitely like he's like almost like a
Oh, not a literal reincarnation.
Like the same spirit.
That's
same,
questionable. That is questionable, but I think because of we're very similar
shared
to our
spirit.
we're very similar to our parents and our grandparents,
Right,
etc.
right.
But he really, 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 really is.
A lot like him.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Rad. This is
Yeah.
amazing.
Have you
Ben's
experienced any
awesome.
more high strangeness after the fact?
Just years later, I met a ghost in France, which was fucking trippy.
Wow.
I love
Amazing.
these setups.
Yeah, I was in this old chateau in the south of France, and I was on like the 8th floor of this castle from 1700s or whatever it was, 1600. It was old, maybe even older. And there was like a storm, and there was like a wedding going on downstairs with music going, like there was like a wedding party, and I was upstairs, and it was kind of like windy, and it was really windy, and nonetheless, I go to the kitchen to get some water, and there's like a voice that's like, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And in the corner of the room, there's like this entity who's like talking to me in this, like, I guess it was French. I don't know French, but it was like old ghost
you
French.
just did an amazing French accent. So.
But he was complaining to me.
Right?
He was complaining to me about the party downstairs, how it was like he was keeping him up.
Yeah.
How
And
did
I-
you know it was a ghost?
That was,
Was it
oh
like
no, like it was
transparent?
It was transparent, and it was more again like a communication
Mentally.
where it was mental. Like he was able to communicate with me. I didn't know French, but I understood what he was saying.
Right.
It was
Wild.
more like like a wingman tells me something in dog. I can understand what the guy was telling me.
Right.
And I guess when you're a ghost, you probably have other ways of
You can like imprint
Yeah.
on
So
people.
so nonetheless, he was like bummed about the party downstairs, and I'm like, okay, bro, I hear you. I'm gonna take this water. Do not I was thinking, if he follows me into my room,
right.
this is not like I'm gonna
Let's
freak.
establish some
I'm gonna
boundaries.
freak the fuck out. Like it's gonna be like I was scared.
Yeah, sure.
But like in that moment, we had a connection. I was like, I understand you. I'm going back to bed.
yeah.
He left the door shut in the
Whoa.
kitchen. He shut the door.
Oh,
And he
okay.
split.
Dude.
Weird.
So I meant
Unfucking
yeah.
believable.
So those are the two.
I love it.
Those are two good
Those
ones.
are amazing.
Those will work just fine.
We have to take a break. We'll come back in a minute
come
with
on.
more Gregory Cipes.
I'm blown away. You have no idea how that story touched me in some way. I just think that's so many people don't realize. Elvis studied almost every spiritual tradition there was. He was he basically branded his own type of meditation, and he tried yoga, karate. I mean, he was into anything that he could commune with his higher self. It does not surprise me in the least that he would show up in a fucking gold spaceship. I mean, that's a trip, man. I love that.
It feels like yesterday. It was so vivid and magical, and I'll never forget it. It's definitely one of the.
I wish I could see like the kids' eyewitness drawing of that encounter. You know how like kids always draw like spooky ghosts or aliens that they see? Like them drawing Elvis in a gold spaceship would be
high collar and all.
pretty rad.
Yeah.
It would be such a good cartoon. Elvis
Dude.
in his gold spaceship, just
Oh,
flying
yeah.
around, teaching lessons.
Totally.
fighting
Absolutely.
crime,
You need to sell that.
You know?
Okay, Greg, there's a game that we like to play with all of our guests. If you listen to the show, you might be familiar with it. It's called Bullshit
Or believe it.
One day we'll get that
It was
timing
just a
right.
second off.
You got to go, it's called, and then let me hit it. You always goes, it's called, but you
Well, it's
jump
because
it.
I forgot about the
You always
music.
forget.
We just need
We'll
to
get it one
pre-record
day.
it.
We'll get it
All
one
right, here
day.
we go.
Fuck it.
So I'm going to go down a list of phenomenon, and if you believe it, you're going to say believe it. If you don't believe it, you're going to say bullshit. If you're
Okay.
somewhere in between, you still got to fall on one side of the fence. All right?
Pick a side.
On your mark. Get set. Ghosts.
Believe.
UFOs.
Believe.
Bigfoot.
Believe.
Believe it.
Oh,
Believe
believe
it.
it.
Yeah.
Believe it.
Little gray aliens.
Believe it.
Out of body experiences.
Believe it.
Demonic possession.
Trump.
The Bermuda Triangle.
Believe it.
Alien abductions.
Believe it.
Loch Ness Monster.
Believe it.
Time travel.
Believe it.
Mothman.
No, bullshit.
Reincarnation.
Believe it.
ESP.
Believe it.
Haunted houses.
Believe it.
The Illuminati.
Believe it.
There's a face on Mars.
Sure. Believe it.
Skunk ape.
A what?
Skunk ape. It's the Bigfoot of
Florida's
Florida.
Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah. Believe it.
Heaven.
Believe it.
Hell.
Believe it.
Sea serpents.
Believe it.
Poltergeists.
Believe it.
Chupacabra.
Believe it.
Atlantis.
Believe it.
Life on other planets.
Believe it.
Parallel dimensions.
Believe it.
The apocalypse.
Believe it.
Life after death.
Believe it.
Nice. I see why you and Bryce are friends.
That's all.
Only
of them.
one bullshit.
That's amazing.
To Mothman.
Yeah.
Which I think
I
if you
could get
heard the
him to turn.
Mothman story, I think you'd believe it.
Oh,
could
dang.
shit- I could
I think
shit
you'd
some-
really. I think you'd
my
be
experience
into it.
with Mothman is when he shows up on my cartoon Teen Titans Go, and that's a very different kind of
Oh,
Mothman.
right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mothman on Teen Titans Go is kind of he's really, I don't know, I don't think
He's
it's
a
the
douche.
yeah, he's not the traditional Mothman
Right.
story.
All right, check it out. John Keel, The Mothman Prophecies.
All right.
I think you would dig it. Which out of those concepts did any jump out at you as one that really resonates with you?
A lot of them.
What about Atlantis? What does Atlantis mean to you?
Atlantis is it's a city like Los Angeles that wound up underwater.
Yep, where we're
sense.
all headed here pretty
Yeah,
soon.
that's right.
You know,
I saw you light up a little bit with Loch Ness Monster.
he saw me light up.
Yeah, you did. You got a little
I mean,
glimmer in your eye.
I just know that there's crazy wild creatures that have been on this earth that aren't here anymore, and there's everything. Anything you could ever imagine actually does exist somewhere.
Yeah.
You're not making it up. It's real somewhere.
What do you mean by that? I mean, I think I know what you mean, but for our listeners, we can follow that white rabbit if you would.
I feel that everything you can think of is almost from like an Akashic Records or a place that does exist somewhere, whatever it is. Not that we can't create new things, but at least I'd say a majority of anything you might be thinking of or have seen in
If
your
the universe is
imagination.
infinite and there is a
Yeah.
multiverse, then how should any of those things not exist
Yeah.
somewhere?
Everything is
Exactly.
possible. That's the bottom line. Even Mothman.
Yes,
Even Mothman.
and even your Mothman.
And even my Mothman. And it does,
possible.
the Teen Titans Go Mothman is real. So everything does kind of exist in a weird dimension or other.
Bryce has brought this up before.
Mm-hmm.
What's the Akashic Records? We've mentioned this in just fleeting passing moments.
I don't know enough about it, but I would say my interpretation of it is, everything you do does leave a record, and energy doesn't die. So every single thing that you do is recorded in the energetics of creation.
And I can expand on that. The Akashic Record is a theory that anything that's ever happened or is ever going to happen is in record, held in the ether. You know what I mean? It's basically a record of all the universe.
It's in the fifth dimension.
We've talked about, time is a
It's
linear
a card
concept.
catalog to the located in the fifth dimension.
This is what the sleeping prophet Edgar Casey said that he would tap into to get his readings. He would just put himself in a state of near sleeping where he would leave his body, and he would tap into the Akashic Record and was able to pull any information that he wanted from it. So
Love it.
yeah, it's wild.
Or you could use DMT.
Yeah, right. We talk about that on the show too. That seems to be another gateway. Our own human androgynous chemical that our body produces.
Gregory, do you know of any DMT experiences of friends of
Anyone may
yours
have
that
had.
they've experienced?
I've studied a lot about DMT. Terrence McKenna,
Yeah, I'm a
is one of
huge
my
big fan, big
favorite
fan.
of human beings that ever has walked planet Earth. Terrence McKenna.
Same.
So his recollection of all of his DMT trips, I feel resonate to be very true. From what I've heard, people, and it's actually the molecule that is released when you die from your pineal gland.
We talked about this on the show.
And in small bursts during dream time
and when
during
you're
REM
born.
sleep.
You're flooded with them during birth, too.
And I just love the fact that, when we do die, it's like the ultimate orgasm and you get this huge blast of, DMT.
Yeah.
And I've seen it when my Nana moved on recently. When she moved on, I saw her go through her little DMT trip and it was psychedelic, man.
Wow.
So it's like,
I just had the image of me being an old grandpa and being like, leave the room, guys. Grandpa needs some alone time. He's about to check out.
That's cool. You could. I just watched Timothy Leary do something similar like that yesterday on a documentary where it was like the last day of his life.
Yeah, with I probably saw that same one. I've often thought that, like, if the world does work in polarities and dualities, as so many of the mystics told us that it does, and that if birth comes out screaming and wailing and is this crazy insane process of entering this safe space into this crazy world, then death would be its opposite. This with this sweet aroma and this sort of sweet happening that takes place.
We deserve it.
Is undescribable.
Yeah.
It is like that.
I think that's the goal of life and living, really, is to come to terms with dying and then do it peacefully and gracefully, and that's a
like
life
that.
well lived.
Well
And then you get your gold spaceship.
Oh, God.
All right, we got to take another quick break. When we come back, it's time for this week's story of high strangeness.
Can't wait.
Wow. What a break! And it's time for this week's story of high strangeness.
Is that
And
tuberose?
It's Bryce
What's
Johnson's turn.
What, the flower?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just on a random switching.
Those are tuberose. That's my favorite.
Bryce
flower.
never
Is that
read.
right? Oh, wow. That's kind of
Those are
synchronous.
What's your favorite flower?
Well, I love all flowers, but
Me too.
tuberose.
I was gonna say you're not one to discriminate against flowers.
I'm not. I'm a.
Yeah.
But how synchronistic is that? There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
What's this all about?
High
high
strangeness.
So
This is a story from history of the paranormal and the strange.
yeah, and this one's going to work a little differently. I might be taking you
Oh,
to school
boy.
a little bit here. Boy.
This is
But
when you know what? When I text Bryce, what'd you pick for high strangeness this week? And I don't get an answer back.
Yeah.
And then I'm
Oh,
told
I forgot to
this
text
might be
that.
a little weird. Everyone buckle up because you thought this
Now buckle
episode
up.
was wild. It's about to get weirder.
Buckle up, suckers. I wanted to take
Oh,
into account
brother.
our very special guest, GREG CIPES. And so taking that into consideration and knowing that you're actually from Coral Springs, Florida,
That's right.
and that, we already covered Coral Castle in episode 13 of Bigfoot Collectors Club with special guest Rachel Bloom, I thought I would focus on some of other Greg's unique qualities. Have you ever been to Coral Castle?
What is Coral Castle?
Coral Castle is a megalithic structure in Coral Springs, Florida, built by one Latvian immigrant, 5'3", 100 pounds at the most. His name was Edward Leeds Skalman.
What are you talking about?
He
And
built this like
pretty awesome.
concrete castle in Florida.
I'll pull it
In my
for you.
hometown.
For his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
To get attention from his ex-girlfriend who
Well,
had totally moved on.
And everybody wants to know how he did it. He would only work in night, and in
he
uncovering.
used a pulley system.
No, he did not.
No, he created energy.
He developed a perpetual motion machine, taking energy from the ether,
Yes.
like Nikola Tesla said that he did.
The undying heart of us.
And he called
of
it
a
his Sweet 16.
jilted
And most people
Latvian
think
man.
he was talking about a girl that he'd left back in Latvia, but it's not true. His Sweet 16 was a DC 16. What
He had a
what's
battery.
16 volt.
16 volt. Yeah.
He made a battery.
Here's a picture of Coral Castle.
He used
I'm
some
still
pulleys.
intrigued
Now,
by it.
these are
the magnetic flywheel.
These are
That's
limestones,
interesting.
some of them weighing as much as 40 tons, all built by one man, and it's in Coral Springs. And you can see the planetary sort of, but anyway, there's moons and stars, and it's very
planetary sort of.
Bryce, what's this week's story of high strangeness?
You be quiet,
We're
Miguel,
getting there.
but there it is.
This is
Isn't that
so
a
wild.
trip? You'll have to
This
listen
is
back
really
to
From
wild.
my
our,
hometown, there's this Crystal Castles place,
Yeah.
which is
the
Wow.
story of it is amazing. Check back in on our episode
No,
13.
that's-
You'll learn all about it.
okay.
It's very fun.
So, what else do we know about Greg Cipes? Well, for starters, he's kind, loves animals and nature. He gives back to his community. He's a proud vegetarian who passionately advocates
Bryce,
for the
did
rights
you
of...
forget to
Right
do
on.
high strangeness this week?
Yeah.
No, I'm right here.
Okay.
He passionately advocates for the rights of animals and the conservation of our planet.
He's just talking about his friend.
And if that doesn't clue you in on today's topic of high strangeness, then perhaps the color green will.
Yeah, bro.
You know, Greg might just be best known for the color green. He voices the green shapeshifter, Beast Boy on Teen Titans, as well as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Michelangelo, who also happens to be green. But it's when he dons the color green himself that he truly becomes a type of ambassador for the protection and conservation of Mother Earth and her inhabitants, an archetypal representation of none other than the Green Man himself.
Yes!
Wow.
I
Have
love
you
the
ever
Green
heard
Man.
of the
The
Green
chills.
Man?
Yeah, dude,
got
I
the
love
chills.
the Green Man.
Yeah. Let me show you a picture of the Green Man. So this is just one representation
Man.
of the Green Man.
It's like when I don't shave.
And he can be found all throughout history. Let's see. The Green Man.
Boy, that was a long walk to get to the Green Man.
Well,
I'll
thank
tell
you. Thank you. Long
Yeah.
walk. The
tying
Green
it all
Man
together.
is a mythical vegetation deity that can be found in many forms and guises throughout history. His most common feature, though, is his face, which is often depicted as being covered by foliage, very often sprouting from his mouth.
He's like Swamp Thing.
That's right. The Green Man face can often be seen carved into wood or stone and is especially prevalent in medieval churches throughout France, England, and Germany. He's a symbol of rebirth and fertility, a representation of how life returns to the soil in the spring, bringing fresh crops. These carvings represent an act of faith that the Green Man will return, bringing the warmth of the sun, and the harvest will be plentiful. Why so many of these carvings adorn the edifices of these houses of worship is anybody's guess, but most scholars believe that as the Catholic faith was spreading like wildfire around the world, pagan ideals and philosophies were being stamped out, and Christian churches were being built upon sacred pagan sites, perhaps as a way to appease the old pagan gods and put butts in the pews. The Green Man was carved into the construction and decorated into the churches as a sort of bridge between the old and the new. Now, the term Green Man is modern in nature, dating back to a 1939 folklore journal published in an article by Lady Raglan. He has also appeared as Jack in the Green and is celebrated around the pagan day of Beltane, or May Day, when every spring, good-natured folk dance around the maypole, making a rebirth and the start of the cycle of growth between the spring equinox and the summer solstice, upon which they crown a May Queen as the goddess of Beltane, and then burn her shitty boyfriend alive while encased inside the fur of skin of a bear. Just kidding. That was Midsommar.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. See Midsommar.
I
Yeah.
love that we're doing this just as we're approaching Christmas.
Oh, is that right? Yes, the Green Man means different things to different people, but to most, he represents an archetypal figure who is a nature spirit, an environmental guardian, the keeper of the forests and woods, and perhaps even Mother Gaia herself. Now, when I say keeper of the forests and woods, is there anyone else that comes to mind, Michael?
Bigfoot?
That's right, Bigfoot. Many scholars have drawn the correlation between old Europe's Green Man and his hairy counterpart, the Wild Man of the Woods, who has a close relationship to the mythology of Bigfoot and is said perhaps to be one and the same. The Wild Man of the Woods is a mythical figure that appears in the artwork and literature of medieval Europe. The defining characteristic of the figure is, well, its wildness. From the 12th century, they were consistently depicted as being covered with hair. Images of wild men appear in the carved and painted roofs and vaults of famed cathedrals, in positions where one is also likely to encounter the vegetal green man. And it's not just in the old Sherwood forests of England where we can find the green man, but in our kitchens and freezers as well. Yes. Legendary cryptozoologist Loren Coleman reminds us in his book, Bigfoot, The Story of Apes in America, that America's iconic Jolly Green Giant is a representation of just such a thing. A graphic transmutation of the survival of late Neanderthals in Europe to wild men and green men, with an artistic connection to the green giant and Jolly Green Giant, and that there appears to be a link between that label on a can of peas in your kitchen and the possible existence of relict hairy hominids. To quote Mr. Coleman, if I may, first and foremost, the tradition of the green giant appears to have a direct link in terms of artistic imagery with the folklore and widespread art of the European green man. From ancient times, the archetypal figure shown as the green giant is commonly referred to as the green man or leafy man, and has been discussed throughout European texts, especially in England. Authors have written extensively on the pagan and Celtic traditions of these green men, and books and websites about them are abundant. Scholars, furthermore, see a direct link between the European traditions of the green man and the old tales and encounters with real wild men. The wild men, who maybe is the same as the green man, Myra Shackley notes in her book, Wild Men, Yeti, Sasquatch, and the Neanderthal Enigma, also takes on the role of the spirit of the woods, a kind of pagan nature god. Over 200 European families have wild men as heraldic emblems, and many more as supporters. Any nude figure in heraldry is called a savage, wild man, woodwose, or woodman, and the terms are basically interchangeable. The wild men are an active topic in hominology, and some researchers feel the wild man and green men are a remembrance of Neanderthal. As Shackley and famed Fortean author Ivan T. Sanderson and others have noted,
he wrote a whole book. He wrote the book on Yeti.
Yeah. We must view the interrelationship between the hairy wild folk lurking in the remote woodlands of the Middle Ages and the European wild men, regardless of whether they were called wild man or green man. And he also goes on to note, just as the encounters of European wild men survive in medieval carvings and other graphic representations, so too is the evidence of early 20th century California Bigfoot evident in an artistic form. Yes, Depression-era painters appear to have captured the giant hairy hominid on at least one fruit crate label. The containers for lettuce, carrots, and yes, green peas may have much to teach us in Bigfoot studies beyond our wildest imaginations. So there you have it. The next time you eat your frozen green veggies, kids, please remember you're eating the legend of Bigfoot.
What would Bigfoot say about eating your vegetables? Another PSA.
It's all about the peace and it's all about the peace, the love, and the animals, yo. For real. Eat your greens.
The peace and the peas.
Peace and the peas.
And the Green Man mythos doesn't end there. Do you recall when I mentioned the Sherwood forests of England? Well, you know who inhabits the dark woods there, dressed in green, don't you?
Robin Hood.
That's right, Robin Hood. The Green Man and Robin Hood are also directly connected. The word Robin is Germanic form of Robert and originally meant famous or bright, or more precisely, to shine.
And Hood,
which was always been an indication... Go ahead.
Was wood.
Well, yeah. Which was always been an indication of one who has achieved illumination or enlightenment. Maybe Elvis was a Robin Hood. Robin Hood is therefore the Bright Hood, a similar name to the Naga serpent worshippers and deities of India, with their illuminated serpent or cobra hoods. As many scholars have stated, there are strong links between the origins of Robin Hood and the Green Man, who is also, get this, the ancient Egyptian god Osiris and the Greek-Roman god Dionysus. These are elements of the Robin Hood myth that relate to other legends as well. The Tree of Life, as seen in Robin's larder tree, supplies all that could be required, like the Horn of Plenty or the Cauldron of Celtic folklore. Robin is also linked with the Wiccan horned god, as he is the lord and master over the human animals of the forest, and they are guardians of their stolen treasure, Like the hoarding serpent Nagas of Hinduism, they do good deeds for those who deserve them, and dastardly deeds to those who do not. And the horned element is also very telling, as the horns were symbolic of enlightenment or illumination, just as Michelangelo's famous sculpture of Moses, depicting him with 2 small horns on his head, the meaning of which was simply shining. Now, I got a picture of that old, did you guys all know those two horns on Moses' head, Michelangelo's famed sculpture?
Yep.
A lot of people misinterpret as to what those mean, but they were a representation of Moses' enlightenment.
I didn't even know he had horns.
Yeah.
Now, we must also remember that Moses was the one who raised the brazen serpent in the wilderness to heal the people of Israel, and that Moses was taught in Egypt, the home of the OG Green Man himself, Osiris, the god of the underworld. That's right. The next time you look at a picture of the ancient Egyptian god Osiris, be sure to check out his green skin color. I'll show you a picture of that.
Oh, snap.
Right?
Yep.
Beast Boy Osiris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beast Boy Osiris, exactly. Now, where are we? Okay, here we go. And Shakespeare, or Francis Bacon, as I like to call him, connected the tales of Robin Goodfellow, the trickster of the woods, a.k.a. Puck, in Midsummer's Night Dream, to Sib, the fairy who lives in the hillside, and is linked as being a serpent spirit of healing. Robin falls in love with his Lady of the Waters, or Queen of Heaven, a title which was also given to Isis, the wife of Osiris, and also a title given to Guinevere, later to be known as the Maid Marian. Marian, Mary, coming from myrrh, equals sea, water, wisdom, and in many ways is a way to undermine the new Christian world and her Mary that forced itself upon the ancient mixture of paganism. Robin Goodfellow is said to be born of a human mother and a godlike father in the form of Oberon, king of the fairies, and Ob meaning serpent. He is also green like the Green Man, which is the special healing color attributed to many things surrounding the serpent cult, such as the Emerald Tablet, the color of initiation into Gnostic mysteries associated with the Masons, and the green glass of the Grail. What we also find, however, in some of the earlier tales is that Robin Hood and Little John, like Jesus and John the Baptist, were equals. Walter Bower in the 15th century said that Robin Hood, together with Little John and their companies, rose to prominence. This in itself points that both Robin and John were seen to each have their own followers, very much like Jesus and John. They are therefore and must be the twins of Gnosticism, like Castor and Pollux, the duality and balance. Tammuz, Adonis, and Osiris are vegetation gods of greenness. Indeed, Osiris himself, in the pyramid text at Sagara, is called the Great Green, and often appears green-skinned as a symbol of resurrection and life. Now, even Robin's death hints at earlier times. Robin is ritualistically bled to death, like the ancient pagan sacrifices. The deed is done by the abbess of Kirklees, who acts as the priestess in some ancient pagan ritual. Could it be that the tales of Robin are more ancient than previously believed? Could they really be tales of ancient Egypt and even Sumeria, passed down over millennia and altered by the times? And last but not least, Green Man is the name of 2 fictional comic book superheroes, both extraterrestrial, from the planet Uxor in the Vega star system. One a member of the Omega Men, and both members of the Green Lantern Corps. The Green Man, after being stripped of his ring and lantern by the Guardians, demonstrated an ability to produce a portal which he could hear and see, though used to transport himself. He was also able to pick up the brain waves of others in a form of telepathy, stuff we talk about quite a lot here on the show. So, Greg, did you ever think that you were invoking the spirit of a shape-shifting Egyptian ninja Bigfoot who robs from the rich and gives to the poor and escapes back to his home planet in a portal? 'Cause you are. And that is the story.
I was going to say
Greg
that's the
and the
story
Green
of my
Man.
life.
Love it, dude. I love the Green Man.
Yeah.
What the hell is that, man? What do you think, Greg?
That's cool. I've heard a bunch of that stuff before because it definitely is dear and near to my heart. A lot of that. The
Yeah.
Green Man's really important to me. The color green. Even my Marvel character Iron Fist is green.
I was gonna say, yeah,
There
you go.
absolutely,
Mhm.
and a ninja.
Yeah.
I had
sorts.
no
Yeah, that's
idea how much I had heard
Martial
of
artist.
the Green Man before, but I had no idea how much he was interwoven into like
I'm everywhere, bro.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, literally everywhere.
I have a Green Man face hanging on my porch, looking over my plants.
Yeah,
Aw.
some of which I've had for 17 years.
it's insane.
One of them is named John Jones after the Martian Manhunter, also a Green
Martian
Man.
Manhunter, one of my faves.
Let me read this to you real quick.
Yeah.
This reminded me of, and this is connected to it. Have you ever read, Greg, Robert Anton Wilson's Cosmic Trigger?
No.
Dude, this is right up your alley.
I got to read that.
You
too.
got to read it too. Riley, have you
No, I
read it?
haven't read that either. No,
So
I've
it's a
never heard of
fucking
it.
awesome book. And there's a chapter, and I kind of looked at while you were reading it. I looked up, see if I could find it. This expert. This is somebody put it in a comment section. But
That was beautiful, by the way.
yeah,
Oh,
well
thanks.
done.
Oh,
And
right
beautiful
on.
music,
Nice.
Riley.
Yeah,
Oh,
nice
thanks.
Yeah,
work.
right.
So he had an encounter when he was doing psychedelics. I think he was on peyote, and he saw mescaline, the mescaline fairy, the living embodiment of the mescaline plant.
Oh, wow.
And who's also green. And he said, this is quoting from the book, the strangest entity I contacted in those 20-odd months of psychedelic explorations appeared one day after the end of a peyote trip when I was weeding in the garden and a movement in the adjoining cornfield caught my eye. I looked that way and saw a man with warty green skin and pointy ears dancing. The skeptic, that's how he would refer to himself, and like the skeptic inside of him,
Right.
watched for nearly a minute, entranced, and then the green skin faded away. Just a hallucination. But I cannot forget him. Unlike the rapid metaprogramming during a peyote trip, in which you are never sure what is real and what is just a metaprogrammer playing games, this experience had all the qualities of waking reality and differed in intensity. The entity in the cornfield had been more beautiful, more charismatic, more divine than anything I could consciously imagine when using my literary talents to portray a deity. As the mystics of all traditions say so aggravatingly, those who have seen know.
Yeah.
Well, I had seen, but I didn't know. I was more annoyed than enlightened. But he goes on to talk more about this, and then one of the things that he ends up realizing is that the mescaline fairy, who is connected to the Green Man, is also, he has these pointy ears, and he's also the same spirit as Peter Pan. And then he also compares him, in modern days, he was writing the book, to Spock from Star Trek, the enlightened being and sort of the keeper of wisdom.
That's so
and,
trippy.
and ancient knowledge. And so you see this
On and on it
archetype
goes.
be on and on and on and on and on.
Well, I was just thinking, I mean, Earth is most notably known as the blue planet, but it may in fact just indeed be the green planet.
Guys, and let's keep it that way. All right, guys, we have to end this session of Bigfoot Collectors Club. Greg, it was so awesome having you on the
Legendary.
show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
coming.
so much for being here. We got to have you back.
I would love to come back.
Amazing stories. Like Bigfoot, we like to ask our guests, where in the woods can you be found? Do you have
Everywhere in the woods under GREG CIPES.
Great.
Yeah, just my name.
Awesome. That's
Everywhere.
So look out for Greg on Instagram, Twitter, and everywhere. And of course, anything you want to plug, any project right now?
I have a new television network called the Noise Nest Network.
Shut
Oh,
up.
fantastic.
I got
Usually
some
it's
great-
just a new show.
Now,
yeah.
it's got a new
I got a
network.
bunch of new shows I've been creating and producing.
That's
and,
amazing.
Acting in, and it's my partner Pete Wentz from Fall Out Boy and I and a couple other friends started this new digital direct to streaming, direct to consumer network kind of thing, and
Cool.
And we're basically just making a bunch of cool cartoons and live action stuff and docu stuff. And
Is it available
music.
now? Is it coming up?
We're just starting to roll it out now.
Okay. And it's called...
But it'll be free. It's
Okay.
a free app. It's called the Noise Nest Network.
Awesome.
And it's basically Adult Swim meets MTV when MTV was really cool.
Dude, that's
Hell
fucking
yeah.
awesome.
So we're just having fun making stuff. So check out the Noise Nest Network. I think you guys will dig it.
We will be supporting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bryce, I know you got something coming up very soon.
Yeah.
As in like 6 days, I think, from this drop.
Is that right? I conked out on the
Oh, let me
headphones,
look.
but can you guys hear me on the mic?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can hear
yeah.
you
Okay,
great.
cool, yeah.
So
Check out,
4 days from now.
Great. Well, 4 days from now, check out Expedition Bigfoot on the Travel Channel Wednesday nights at 10, 9 Central.
No, Sunday
No,
nights,
Sundays
right?
now.
So shit, we moved to
I know, guys. Listen,
Dude,
we're
a lot
not
to keep up
we're
with.
not misinformed. It's just that the day keeps changing.
They actually moved us to Sunday nights now, which is their big night. So that was
Nice.
Sunday,
that was, yeah.
December 8th.
Sunday's December
4
8th.
nights from now.
Yeah.
This is December 4th.
Check
as
it
this
out.
drops. Check that out.
How many episodes did you do?
Eight episodes,
Nice.
and we uncover some incredible shit goes
Dude,
down.
you're gonna
It's
find the
wild.
Green Man. Expedition Bigfoot Travel Channel. Riley, anything?
That very same night, after you watch Expedition Bigfoot, if you live in Los Angeles, come on down to the Moroccan Lounge to catch Spindrift
Oh, I'll
on
be
Spindrift.
there.
Sunday, December 8th.
I want to check that out.
I'll
Awesome.
send
All
you
right,
some.
please.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And we have a new record coming out in early 2020 on Alternative Tentacles. We're really pumped about it.
Sounds
Fucking A.
great. Awesome, guys. You can follow and listen to us, Bigfoot Collectors Club, Campfire Media. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. I'm McMills on both of the things. Don't forget that second Z. I want to thank Campfire Media for hosting us. Until next week, I remain Michael McMillan. For Bryce Johnson, Riley Bray, thanks again to Gregory Cipes for being here, and Wingman G. Until next week, good night.
And go get regressed.
Dude.
Bigfoot Collectors Club is produced by Riley Bray. Our theme song is Come Alone by Suneaters, courtesy of Lotuspool Records. If you like the show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It really helps get the podcast to more listeners. To support the show, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Bigfoot Collectors Club and unlock multiple reward episodes every month.